Me, I wrote this book because I desperately needed a book like this for the 10-year-old who found porn.
Good morning, everybody, and happy Tuesday, January 13th, 2026. I've got all your news for your rush hour ride to work, starting with big updates from the Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni saga. That's our first story of the day, focusing on the response from Baldoni's legal team after Blake attempted to seal information about which celebrities she allegedly tried to coerce into defending her. Oh boy, this is getting spicy. Speaking of lawsuits, Senator and American hero Mark Kelly is suing the Secretary of Defense. Yes, you heard that right, and we'll dive into what he has to say about it. On a completely different note, a Home Alone star is being prosecuted over prostitution, which raises some interesting questions about legality in platforms like OnlyFans, and I'll share my take on that. We'll also cover a war crimes-related case involving Parad and provide an update on ICE in Minnesota. There's a lot to cover, so let's dive right in. Starting with the Blake Lively drama, this court battle has been ongoing for years. Make sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, because there's plenty to follow. The latest comes from the Wayfair parties, who responded to Lively's motion to seal documents. After Blake submitted numerous redactions, she had to justify them, and the Wayfair response is clear. They wrote to the judge that Lively bears a heavy burden in seeking to seal summary judgment and sanctions material, noting that denying public access to documents used in judicial proceedings should not be done lightly. The public has a right to know what happened on set, and transparency is essential to maintain confidence in the court system. While some financial information concerning the film and certain non-parties can be sealed, the Wayfair parties argue that Lively's requests go far beyond these narrowly defined exceptions. She is attempting to hide the identities of key witnesses, including powerful Hollywood figures who allegedly influenced Sony to remove the film from Baldoni and damage his career. At the center of this is Lively's husband, Ryan Reynolds, who was not an innocent third party. He was directly involved in the production and even secretly rewrote the film's pivotal rooftop scene under Lively's name during the writer's strike, effectively acting as a scab. Reynolds has asked the court to seal nearly all documents related to the Wayfair party's opposition, but the court has historically only allowed redactions in cases involving uninvolved parties, which doesn't apply here. The stakes are high, the drama is intense, and the public is watching closely as mediation between Lively and Baldoni is expected to start soon, though Baldoni is unlikely to easily meet in the middle given the severity of the accusations. This story is as juicy as ever, and it's far from over. United we stand, divided we fall, right? You can't be rewriting rooftop scenes for your wife while you're in the Writers Guild. That's what solidarity is for. If there's a strike, you put the pen down. Yet Ryan Reynolds participated as Lively's designated representative in an all-hands meeting months later to discuss her objections. The very documents Lively now seeks to seal show that Reynolds deliberately inserted himself into this dispute, long before the Wayfair party's alleged smear campaign supposedly began. These messages indicate his involvement in ways that remain redacted, leaving everyone wondering what exactly is being hidden. Lively has claimed marital privilege over her communications with Reynolds, but it's reasonable to infer that some of his communications to third parties were made with her consent and on her behalf. Even though Reynolds wasn't deposed, both parties identified him as a key witness who could be called if the case goes to trial. Lively offers no real justification for sealing his communications beyond the flimsy claim that he isn't involved, and the information in question doesn't reveal anything private or sensitive. It mostly concerns matters unrelated to his own privacy. Additionally, Lively seeks to conceal the identities of famous people she allegedly recruited to advocate for her against the Wayfair parties in her attempt to take over the film. While speculation swirls, Taylor Swift often comes to mind, the full list remains unknown. Courts have established that information should not be sealed, merely because it might harm a party's reputation or celebrity status. Witness identities are shielded from public view only in rare circumstances, such as when there's a real safety risk, and Reynolds is certainly not operating as a spy. These individuals are key witnesses, and knowing their identities is essential for the public to understand the Wayfair party's defense. Lively didn't just vent to friends, she actively sought people with significant industry influence and weaponized that influence against the Wayfair parties. She has previously disclosed the identities of other famous confidants, including Emily Blunt, Alexis Bledel, Gigi Hadid, Hugh Jackman, Taylor Swift, and Amber Tamblyn. It's only now, when these messages cast her and her friends in a negative light, that she wants to conceal their names. Lively shouldn't be allowed to use sealing requests as both sword and shield. Courts have long held that general concerns about public criticism are not enough to override the presumption of access. The stakes are high. If the judge orders the names revealed, it could reflect poorly on Lively and her friends. Key questions remain. Do these friends have first-hand knowledge of wrongdoing by Baldoni, or were they manipulated through messages from Lively urging them to take action? Lively also seeks to seal other witnesses' identities, including a crew member who discussed filming with the intimacy coordinator. Despite no apparent privacy interest, she attempts to conceal references to her personal staff. even though their names are already public and information about her compensation on the film, unless she earned a substantial amount. Overall, the strategy appears aimed at controlling the narrative rather than protecting privacy, and the case continues to unfold with potentially explosive revelations. She made millions from this film, so it's certainly interesting to see how this unfolds, and ultimately, it's up to the judge to decide. Meanwhile, if you're sticking around, we have some juicy news. Home Alone star Daniel Stern, aka Wet Bandit, aka Sticky Bandit, is facing criminal charges in California for allegedly trying to hire a sex worker. Personally, I think this highlights the absurdity of criminalizing prostitution. If people want to make choices about their bodies, it should be regulated and safe, with access to healthcare and protections just like any other job. The alternative is the same old underground mess, much like the war on drugs, which has cost trillions and forced people into dangerous hidden spaces. We don't need that anymore. The internet and regulation could make things safe. On a lighter note, Stormy Daniels is performing in Nashville soon, and I'm hoping to interview her. She's doing stand-up. But hey, everyone should be free to pursue whatever career they want, whether it's comedy or sex work. Back to Daniel Stern. Prosecutors in Ventura County charged him with soliciting prostitution, and TMZ broke the story, showing a photo of Stern, the one from the Home Alone scene where he got hit in the head with an iron. His arraignment is set for this morning, though it sounds like his attorney will appear on his behalf, not him. Think about the contradictions here. You can legally pay for someone's services through a platform like OnlyFans, but you can't legally hire that same person directly. It's counterintuitive, pushing the activity underground and exposing people to risk. If Daniel Stern wanted to film an adult parody like Bone Alone 3, he could have done it with proper safety, consent, and regulation, but because of current laws, everything gets forced into dark, unsafe channels. If you drive a couple of hours into Nevada, it's legal, so it's clearly possible to do this responsibly. As for the fun side of this story, my wife and I are definitely dressing up as the Sticky Bandits, while our toddler will be Macaulay Culkin from Home Alone. The only question is whether I'll go as Daniel Stern or Joe Pesci. It's going to be a tough call. And just to be clear, this isn't about a male hiring a female. It could be anyone hiring anyone. Adults consenting to sexual activities safely should not be criminalized.
Sacrifice your own happiness for theirs. And I think that was a really cool example of him in that moment seeing, oh wow, like here's the mother of my...
Coming up next, we've got a story involving an astronaut suing the head of the Department of Defense, which you won't want to miss. But first, a quick word from our sponsors. Today's episode of Rush Hour is brought to you by Wix. Every business needs a website, and Wix makes it incredibly easy to create a professional site from scratch even with zero design experience. Use Wix's AI website builder, choose from over 2,000 templates, and create a custom site in minutes. Wix has powered over 280 million businesses worldwide for 20 years. Sign up for free at wix.com. Also, winter's here, so your wardrobe needs to perform. Quint brings together premium materials and thoughtful design to keep you warm, sharp, and stylish all season long. From cashmere sweaters to leather jackets that actually lasts, their pieces are made for daily wear. I personally got their 100% leather racerback jacket and my wife a leather weekender bag perfect for Valentine's Day. Refresh your winter wardrobe with Quint at Quint.com. Rush Hour with free shipping and 365-day returns. Back to Daniel Stern. What a story. He seems like a nice guy, and it's adults making their own choices. Moving along, Benny Johnson, bootlicker extraordinaire, has been calling Senator Mark Kelly treasonous, labeling him a traitor though, of course. If he were truly committing treason, he'd face actual charges. Instead, what's happening is that Senator Kelly is suing the Department of Defense and Secretary Pete Heath after moves to censure and discipline him. This stems from Kelly's comments urging service members that they do not have to follow unlawful orders. A statement made with full awareness of the dangerous orders being given, including targeting civilians and other ethically questionable directives. Senator Kelly is now asking a federal judge for an immediate injunction to freeze any disciplinary actions. While the case works its way through the courts, it's wild to think that a decorated astronaut and military veteran who risked his life and flew into space multiple times has to fight to protect his retirement and reputation, simply for telling the truth and upholding the law. Secretary Heath's attempt to reinstate Kelly into active military service just to court-martial him is unprecedented and threatens to set a dangerous precedent if senior military leaders or veterans question orders or policies. Their livelihoods could be at risk years or decades later. Kelly's response has been firm and principled. He emphasizes that military rank is earned, not given, and recounts his decades of service from Naval Air Station Pensacola to combat in Iraq and Kuwait to commanding Space Shuttle Endeavour on its last mission. He states unequivocally that he has never backed down from a fight for his country, and he will not back down from this one. It's a powerful stance from someone willing to challenge the system rather than bow to political pressure. Meanwhile, the Pentagon is under scrutiny for allegedly painting a military aircraft to look like a civilian plane during a boat attack, a clear violation of the laws of armed conflict. known as perfidy. This war crime abuses protections meant for civilians, feigning non-combatant status to deceive and kill the enemy. Questions are mounting. Who authorized this? And should Secretary Heth face censure or even war crime charges? The military's honor, which Kelly risked his life to serve, is on the line. Between Kelly, a decorated astronaut and veteran, and Heth, whose leadership is widely criticized, it's clear where the confidence should lie. On another front, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has highlighted the rising costs of healthcare, explaining how families like mine are paying over $2,000 a month for coverage that's worse than before. The subsidies that once helped offset these costs have been eliminated, and additional funds are being funneled into agencies like ICE, which she argues should see funding cuts. The question becomes, what are the proper red lines for DHS and ICE funding? What policies or reductions are appropriate? Tactical decisions need to be made, but AOC's position is clear-eyed. CE funding should be cut to reflect priorities that protect citizens rather than harm them. We're seeing the results of reckless spending and misallocated priorities, and it's hitting ordinary Americans where it hurts. The cuts to your healthcare is all that extra money you're paying in premiums is funding ICE, nearly $1 trillion. In healthcare, subsidies were stripped and redirected to ICE, which now oversees over 70,000 people in detention at a cost of $150 to $200 per person per night, not to mention $50,000 bonuses for ICE officials. ICE has grown larger than many national militaries, yet taxpayer dollars are going to fund mass detentions and the terrorizing of families, while universal healthcare, education, and childcare go underfunded. Meanwhile, Trump wants to raise military spending to $1.5 trillion, beyond what is necessary and far higher than any other country in the world. The trust in institutions meant to protect us, the military, is eroding, while for-profit prisons and detention centers profit off this system at the expense of the public. One tragic example is the killing of Renee Good, a 37-year-old mother, by ICE agent Jonathan Ross. Ross has already raised $475,000 on GoFundMe for his legal fees, despite not having been charged with a crime. Advocates like Rona are calling for his arrest and prosecution, calling the act shameful and leaving Renee's 6-year-old son orphaned. Jasmine Crockett and colleagues have proposed legislation requiring ICE agents to wear body cameras, display identification, and operate under Justice Department oversight. Right now, the system lacks accountability. Agents wear masks and use phone cameras not for transparency but for biometric scanning through an Israel-based company, creating a surveillance state targeting immigrants and potentially expanding to protesters and others considered unpatriotic. The lack of transparency dehumanizes both the enforcers and the public. Judges don't wear masks, local police don't wear masks, military personnel don't wear masks, yet ICE does, shielding themselves from accountability. This unchecked power allows them to operate with impunity, making the situation increasingly dangerous. Ordinary Americans are paying the price through higher healthcare costs, misused tax dollars, and the erosion of civil liberties. It's a system in dire need of reform. Yet right now, the votes and political will to act aren't there. And so we come full circle: funding, misallocated, families torn apart, and rights eroded, all while ordinary people shoulder the cost. That's it for now. We'll see you this afternoon for the next update. We're here twice a day, every morning and every afternoon, keeping you informed. Keeping you informed.